Greetings. I'm going to put a few things together here. So first point, I apologise for the shakiness. Ironically, the word is quake, to quiver or vibrate. So we can say about quiver in the sense of fear, and it's also vibration. I think that's a big clue with some of the things I'm going to show. Now, there is something I've been meaning to do for probably the last 8 videos, and that is reiterate something I've said, and also something Livette has mentioned in her most recent video called the Bestest Day Ever. Well worth watching. But the point I want to make is this lockdown, everything is shown to you in a mirror. So you can see everything in a positive or a negative way. Whatever angle or whatever topic you're coming from, whether it be mud flood, Tartaria, something spiritual, or whatever, or the mathematics, the geometry, the astrology, they all point to going within. I mean, what better opportunity have you got during this lockdown to actually put the effort in to look into things that are going to help you on a spiritual level as much as anything else. So there's no excuse for anyone to say they're bored. You can go and look at things like Netflix and all the exterior distractions, but just before you do, just think about how is that going to actually benefit me. I'm saying this as to every individual. Ask yourself that question: how is this going to benefit me with everything you look at? Now, I've focused on this symbol for several reasons. I really suggest that you go and look at Livette's channel and look at her most recent videos. Now, this is the thing I wanted to mention. She's doing, what are they called? Memory sticks. But obviously, with her channel growing to nearly 10,000 people, she can't do it alone. So she's set up a system of people who will be like sort of outposts that you can go to within your own country. So it keeps the postage costs down and it spreads the workload. So if any of you have got any spare time that you could help Livette and help this distribution, because the more knowledge you've got, the better. So you may wonder what this is all about. Now, this is the 3 crosses that are shown in the sky. At the moment where we've got this, it's all to do with the symbology, that it's missing the balance of it, because it's representing, I think, the male. You've got the symbol for earth and for spirit or air here. You also notice it resembles a Union Jack, the Union flag as well, with the various crosses. But what is also interesting, if you do like with the Maltese cross and you put V's round here, you're going to end up with something very much like a star fort in shape. Have I got something lined up ready here? No. I want to come back to this. I want to give you links across different things. Oh, great, we've gone. Hold on. Let's cut the sound to that nonsense. I don't know what it is with these. When you try and get things all sorted out, they default back to the start. Now, we're going to have a look at a map. There's something I've been thinking about. When you look at these weather instruments, they're always in white boxes, and it's said that it's to reflect sunlight so they don't get too hot. White reflecting the heat and the black absorbing it. So I want to take this a step further. Now, if you've been following channels like Martin Liedtke, UAP, IRS Media, Autodidactic 2, and I think, and what else have we got? Conspiracies Are Us channel, and A Plain Truth for You. I think it's You can find them on 3, 6 and 7 because his channel keeps being attacked. But what you'll see on these old maps, Africa, what is now desert, was at one time very fertile. Now, it's well known that the highest rates of skin cancer from sun are in Australia and affecting people of European origin because then it's not a natural environment. But seeing the old maps, how what is now the Sahara Desert looks to be an area of devastation, I am suggesting that what we would call Caucasian or light-skinned people actually started in Africa. And what has happened is populations have been shuffled and shifted up. I can't help but notice the similarity between cherubim and Cherokee, and also how they're described as being very light-skinned, looking more akin to Europeans than what you would expect. So if you imagine this driving of people over a period of resets. Now, when you look at some of the older maps, you'll find that this area, the North America, is not shown on the maps. This is all very sketchy and just left blank, but you've got the detail of the bits around this edge. Interestingly as well, we've got the numerology comes into this because you have the 13 states. Notice you've got Washington between Maryland and Virginia, reference to Mary the Virginia, and then obviously the Masonic layout of all these grids to places like Washington, and of course the erections, the obelisks and things, and the symbolic thing with that. So I think what's happened is they've pushed the populations where you've had these resets and things. This is probably what they call the New World, was the last area to be cleared of water, which is where I think these star forts come in, that there's enough people sort of looking at this, and I think between us we have cracked that. So what else was it I wanted to show? Try and find a piece of paper now. Bear with me one moment. I'm very disorganised with this one, I'm afraid. Where are we? Get a bit of paper here. Now there is a thing called a fasces, which if you look at Flat Earth British, Martin Liedtke, I'll put the link for the videos, The Greatest Secret Never Told, which is why I have entitled this video as it is entitled. But you'll see this thing repeated over and over again, Rome and onwards. It looks like an axe head, and you have these metal tubes. Now what I find interesting about this, you notice with the axe, what we think of as an axe head, it's an arc. Now you think about how many expressions of the term arc in the geometry, for example. You've got the arc 60, so if you have two arc 60s, I think a lot of you will recognise this as a religious symbol connected with Pisces. But when you look at weather vanes and things, now what if this arc is for drawing in atmospheric electricity, and it's something to do with the directional control of it. Now this is an interesting image. Let's bring this one up. It's not very clear, I'm afraid. You can find it on Flat Earth British, The Greatest Secret Never Told. But this is an illustration of defending Paris from a German Zeppelin. Now what's very interesting here is you've got, if you can imagine those fasces with all those rods screwed together, and then you've got what looks like this axe head on these things, and they're facing away from this zeppelin. So I would say that is something to do with the harnessing of the atmospheric electricity, the method of delivery of something as a weapon to take this thing out the sky. I'll leave that one open to what anybody else wants to look at with this. But I would seriously suggest start going across, if you're coming from a mud flood angle. Well, let's just have a look at a culprit here. I hope this hasn't changed again. Now, what could it be? When you look at Canada and Siberia, well, let's take this a step further. There are trees over 300 years old, but not very many of them. They tell us oak trees and yew trees and things, I think, live for like 900 years. But it's funny how there's so few of them. But when you look at Siberia and places like that, you will find... sorry, I'm just trying to find the exact spot on here. There it is. You'll find that the trees are all comparatively young. Now, this Devasa, so-called gas crater, which is still burning today, and of course no satisfactory explanation on it. This is on the past Tatarian civilizations, in brackets Turkmenistan, by Jon Levi. I think this is something to do with a weapon that caused quite a recent devastation. Now we're back to these fasces and things again. Let's see if we can find... There's a pattern to all of this. Let's see if we can find a better picture. Somewhere on here. Bear with me a moment. That is an illustration of one which looks like to be held by a giant. It looked like a bundle of sticks with an axe in the middle. It doesn't look a practical thing if it was just an axe, and then you'd wonder what the sticks were for. So it seems to be a technological device, but I think it's pretty safe to say that our perception of the dark side seems to know no depths of depravity, and I think it's also safe to assume that they love to rub it in our faces. So, some weapon that would be launched that would cause so much devastation. And we're talking cities that appear to be melted rock, which we're told are either pyramids or natural land formations, but have regular shapes to them. I'm going to recommend you look at IRS Media. He will look at specific places, take it a step further from Jon Levi, and actually show you the evidence of this. But you would want to hold on to something that can be used as a weapon. That will be highly prized. So where better to hide it in plain sight and think about how we use, particularly in the UK, the expression about the crown jewels. The fact that they are gold. You've got the orb, which seems to be some sort of energy device, and the scepter, which seems to be part of one of these fasces, as Martin has shown. You look at mages and things, and they carry these batons. They don't seem to serve any sort of real purpose except in ceremonially. But if you were going to reset the earth every 200 years or so, you would want to keep that weapon very well hidden. And like I've said, they often put things in plain sight, like these exhibitions, these world fairs. It's almost like the trophy hunter just showing all the things they have stolen. Now remember, a thief will always cover their tracks. Reference to mud flood there for a start. Then we can look at masks. Well, in the UK, there's an expression: if you have too much alcohol, and you're drunk, it is said that you are plastered, and obviously you have blurred vision. You're not seeing things quite as they are. Well, what is on a lot of these old buildings but plaster facades? And what is a facade? It's a farce aid. It's a mask, basically, on a building. See, there is nothing new under the sun. So yes, a thief will always try to cover their tracks, and I think they have been very successful at that. As Martin Liedtke has said, the main theme of the First World War is mud. Now, with sound and energy weapons, it could well be vibration from quakes which are caused by these devices. And I think these things will come out, or have come out before and being used, and then maybe it's to do with astrological alignments, because we can't discount that. Again, I would suggest you look at the Levet channel. We are definitely affected, depending on our birth sign and all the stars, where they are, which house, which planets these houses are in at the time of and place of birth. And there is a magnetic frequency from all these planets that will have some sort of interaction with us. So we're talking about magnetics here. So I think this also explains why some of you are coming from a spiritual side, some of you are coming from a truth-seeking side, but collectively we are an awesome think tank, and we can reverse engineer all this. We can put all this together by putting all the ideas together into collectively. I mean, it's ironic that they talk about particularly the United States being a melting pot. Well, what about not so much a melting pot, but collectively our ideas sort of reflect a version of this at a mental level as well, that we can put together. And I think pretty much a lot of that has already been done with the atmospheric electricity harnessing, how it is still being used today. And but of course we're given dirty energy which we're made to pay for when it should be free, because it's ridiculous how anything else on this earth doesn't have to pay to live, but we do, and we are attacked with tax the whole time. But yeah, if you can help Levet out with the distribution of these memory sticks with information, this is all things, whatever angle you're looking at, whatever topic you're looking at, whether it be geometry, flat earth, Tartaria, mud floods, spiritualism, there comes a point, and I'm talking from a personal level, that I've done a lot of this looking outside. I still do, because I still can find things in it. The relation between the star forts and these three crosses. And if you look at the Maltese cross, it's said to be like a flattened pyramid. This all ties in, all of it. Geometry, colours, frequencies, light. But it all is a mirror. It's as above, so below, as without, so within. So this is a brilliant time to now start talking to each other, put all this together, keep all the ideas on the table, because we can look at what's gone on, prevent things happening in the future. Because there is a clear link between your imagination and this reality, and don't dismiss that idea. Think of an atom, how 95% of an atom is a no thing, it's a nothing. We are made up of atoms. We seem to work on harnessing frequencies. We are affected by planets, the magnetics of them, the frequencies. This all comes in together. So whilst this is the duality again, whilst it is shutting off from all that outside fear that is projected. It is also about opening up, and it's very much about opening up to new ideas, new ways of thinking about things. And this goes right down to the root of the seed within inside us, because all of us are programmed. I'm not afraid to say publicly on here that I still have a certain level of cognitive dissonance. Otherwise, I would have got all of this and say I've got all the answers. But long way to go. It's a wonderful spiritual journey as much as anything else. But the thing to remember with all this, though, is if you're looking at the historical, the Tatarian, the mud floods, or anything like that, and even about the shape of the earth, this reality is a mirror. It is pretty much held together by frequency. And I wouldn't want to be picking up on the fear aspect of when you look at the potential devastation that can be done with these what look to be very fearsome weapons. But at the same time, it is all a matrix. This is all an experience, and that is just an outside projection that I think we can actually learn from. But I wouldn't take it more than that. Just use it for what you can benefit from it, because it's all going on internally inside you. That's where everything really matters. Let's get to the heart of the matter, is the saying. There are two really important parts of the body, as I've said many times, and it is to do with the chakras. And forgetting I haven't got the camera turned round, I haven't got a picture to hand, but basically you've got your heart chakra, and then just below that you have your solar plexus, the place of the sun. Incidentally, while I think of it, just to reiterate what Levet has said, in one of the Arabic languages, Jupiter has a second name, and that name is Nibiru. I've always thought it's very strange how it sounds almost like a rhyme of Hebrew as well. But Jupiter or Jupater and Nibiru, Hebrew, there's a connection, and it goes back again to Rome, and again that ties back into those fasces, and you'll see those in stone shown to you. Another interesting point, and thank you to Nigel, the Devil's Playground 2 channel. Arm, leg, arm, head spells Allah. Now, you could say that's coincidence, but like with everything else, how many coincidences do you want? How many more times do you want to see that everything outside of you, everything that is external, is a lie? I mean, the latest idea is, and it does seem to make sense to me as well. I'm not going to say it doesn't. The Earth being reflected, or the known Earth, should I say, all of this being reflected within one crater on the moon, and the speculation of other lands outside that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. It would be nice to know one way or the other. But I'm more concerned about how I can grow spiritually, because it is quite clear that we are not tied totally to this realm. The physical vessel, your avatars are, yes, but your soul is something else. Your spirit, that is the important thing, your essence inside of you. But we live in a reality that has tried to program us to basically the Newtonian. If it's solid, it's real. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. But I think, especially if you're coming from the spiritual side, you already know from how you feel inside. And, well, I should imagine most of you that are listening to this all know this, that you are more than just physical beings. That is just your vessel. Anyway, we're up to 24, nearly 25 minutes here. So, a few things there. I will put links into various videos that I think will just basically help you benefit and spiritually grow.